I'm here to help women reset and rewild, to embrace and prioritize the pauses in order to reclaim their peace and power. I'm Dr. Michelle Paris, director of the Poppy Clinic and founder and CEO of the Wild Collective. As a disruptor, naturopathic doctor, wife, and mama, I've created a global movement and sacred space for women to rise together. Here, you'll break through limitations, romanticize your life, and unlock the magic of your divine feminine power. My life's work is rooted in community, lifting women into their most powerful, authentic selves, while empowering clinicians to elevate their practices with a transformational, community-driven model. I lead a thriving, passion-fueled business and naturopathic practice brimming with abundance, where I can guide women to invigorate their lives through sisterhood and elevate healthcare with a cutting-edge transformational approach. I've witnessed firsthand in my practice how this model sparks consistent health transformation, creates flourishing communities, and brings profitable success. You can have it all, a life filled with abundance, contagious joy, and untethered potential. So pull up a seat. It's time to pour into yourself and tap into your intuition and design a life that's wild, free, and uniquely yours. And I'm going to show you how. This is Wild Medicine.
Hello, and welcome back to Wild Medicine. We are here today and we are talking about our reset program. So our Shed Metabolic Health program. And one of the questions that we get often is how to know if our reset, is the right next step for you. So Michelle and I are excited to really dive into that today and help you determine if that might be the right next step for you. So we wanted to start off. So Michelle did our reset program about four and a half-ish years ago at this point. Yeah. And so we wanted to start off by kind of talking through Michelle's experience and how she knew that it was the right step for her. So take it away, Michelle. What brought you to your initial reset and how did you know it was right for you?
Yeah. So I tell this story a lot, but it bears repeating because a lot of people share, especially when I sit down with them, that my story resonated for them. And there was like this big moment for me when I turned 40, where I saw a picture of myself and I didn't recognize the woman in the photo. And there was something like I say to women in Wild Collective, like there's this like primal or visceral response, like where you know something feels very real. And what felt very real and heavy in the moment was how out of alignment I was, how the incongruences could no longer be ignored because I could see them visually. And there was a lot of feelings about that, probably a lot of ego of like, you're a naturopathic doctor. How do you not have this figured out? At that point, I'd already been working out for like a solid year. And yet, after like many cumulative burnouts and sedentary lifestyles, which I think most of us relate to some degree. And the scale kept trending upwards. So that was like this real humility moment of like, I don't think I can do this on my own. And I don't know where to start. And I am someone who does well with abrupt change because I know myself, and any window of tolerance, a little amount of willingness I am to negotiate with myself, I'm likely not to step up to my highest expression. Like any place where I can create some wiggle room for a lack of integrity, if you're getting what I'm trying to say here, wasn't going to work for me. So I knew a slow shift, like, why don't you try this? Why don't you adjust this? I was like, no, I need an abrupt reset. I need a life reset. At this point, I'd been exposed to mindset. At this point, I had been in practice for 12 years-ish, 13, 14 years, like quite a long time. And so there were a lot of patterns that needed interrupting because I was just a machine running day in and day out. And I could see the accumulation of that on my body. So that is when I made the decision that I needed to do something different. And I felt really unwell. I was dealing with a lot of burnout, mental fog, joint aches and pains, just to manage what I now understand to be histamine intolerance, and quite an extreme case of it, I was taking 2 antihistamines just to survive my life, to survive my home, survive the environment, which when you say that out loud, you're like, wow, that's like really bizarre. Like something's not working here. And for me, and I now understand this, there's just so much inflammation. And I call that like internal noise. It's like biochemical noise. It made it very difficult for me to align with my intuition, or what we call intuitive eating. And there was just so many distractions. And so for me, it was like, where's the course correction? Do I focus on adjusting my mental fog? Do I focus on the chronic anxiety that I'm experiencing? Do I focus on the accumulation of histamine I clearly have a problem with? That, honestly, now looking back on that, I can say that that was like the thoughts that were going on in my mind. But really, I was just like, I needed a strategy. I need a simple strategy. I need to course correct because the way I'm going is not working. And I've been trying a lot of things to this point. And so I reached out to a colleague and moved forward with her in this reset program. And it absolutely changed everything for me. And it is an abrupt change. Resets are designed that way. I had done lots of seasonal detoxes. Like I loved the idea of that. For me, that very much aligns, is like, there's a lot built into our social life, our life structure, our societal structure that invites in imbalances like patio season in the summer, holiday season and all the extra festivities. And these things invite in, beautiful connection time, wonderful time outside, getting natural sunlight. There's lots of good things there. It also can invite in pattern shifts and certain excessive habits, behaviors, or eating styles that aren't necessarily in alignment with your day to day. And so that, like, since starting my career as a naturopathic doctor, I think I did seasonal detoxes. I guided them for years. I liked the idea of just cleaning things up and just like hitting reset, right? Optimizing liver detoxification, optimizing nutrition, gut health and function. And that always aligned for me. So I was someone who I think lended well to being open to a reset. But where this was abruptly different is that I was so over incongruences with what I said that I want and what I was actually doing. And I think I knew on some level that I was lying to myself. So, like we all say, like, I'm doing all the right things. I'm finally exercising every single day. I think I eat clean, right? I eat healthy. It's all organic. It's all whole food. How could I be going wrong? And so I think that level of confusion and mystification and noise of the world, and it just gets noisier with social media and access to information. It's like, should I do this? Should I be carnivore? Should I be vegan? Should I follow Mediterranean? Should I do this type of exercise? Am I too old for fasting? Am I to a different gender for optimal fasting? Like, there's just so much noise that I was like, I need concurrent. I know I'm going all over the place, but yeah.
This is
Concurrent.
perfect.
I had been sitting in wild circles for many, many years. And the one thing I knew I wanted to be true is that I wanted to know that I knew what was best for me, that I could truly understand how to nourish myself without needing someone else to tell me what would be the latest and greatest thing that I absolutely needed to transform. I really wanted to have this level of coherence of like, I know how to nourish myself. And I remember that I self-prescribed this to be a spiritual journey for myself at the same time of wanting to shed what no longer served me in terms of my physical well-being. So I chose that for myself. And then we ended up building a lot of that into how we support people. But so I knew that there was a journey that was going to go on. I had also struggled. I was 40 and I had struggled with some form of body dysmorphia or emotional eating. Like, I just had a really dysfunctional relationship with my physical body and with nourishment. I felt totally betrayed. I felt like it was harder for me, or I don't know, whatever stories I told myself. It was really like this moment of like, if we do this, we're going all in and we're going to learn what needs to be learned, and we're going to sit with the parts that come up, and we're going to do this a different way. I would say, and I tell my patients this all the time, like, I struggled with following something through, like following a plan. So even when I did those resets, I probably had some variability. Even when I did juice fasts back in the day, I permitted myself more cashew milk in the evening. I don't know. I would just write my own rules. And, we see this behavior in others, but I was that person. I get it. That's why I think I am ruthless on honesty,
Yeah.
because the honesty piece is key. But that was the level of humility I came to this. I spoke to my colleague and I was like, I can't keep going like this. Something's not working. There was a trip. It was embedded at around the same time where I was with these colleagues and good friends that I graduated with. And I was the one that had physically morphed into something different. Everyone else looked pretty much the same.
Mm.
We all went to school together. Like my life choices, my inability to understand or create pause was showing up, and it was very obvious, right?
Mm.
Not that they said it. It was me. So there was discrepancies where I'm like, okay, there's something going on here.
Mm.
Like something's not right. Something's not making sense. But I chose to show up at a level of being radically honest, keeping my word to myself, because I knew that at the root that had been identified as something that was difficult for me to that point, and that I was reclaiming peace.
Mm.
So if that was meant to be the size of my body, then I was going to come to peace with it. Like whatever, it was like these decisions were very intentional of like, however this goes, these are the things I desire for myself. So it wasn't about a number. It was about feeling better. It
Mm.
was about coming home to myself and navigating the world from a place of deep self-trust and coherence and peace in my body, no longer being at war. One of the things that sticks with me was my husband saying, like, you should see how you look at yourself in the mirror. Your
Mm.
kids are seeing that. And that really motivated me for not wanting to pass that on, stopping that intergenerational, like, self-hatred and self-deprecating humor. Like, I didn't want that for my children. So there were a couple of motivating factors. I felt very unwell. I was very burnt out. I just knew that something needed to change. And so I knew a reset was for me because I just didn't know what first step to take. So, like, let's just wipe the slate clean and let's build a new foundation.
Yeah.
The foundation I had already built on was rocky. The building was not equipped to withstand the pressure of what I was going through. Let's start again.
Yeah.
And that for me, that radical decision was the most empowering thing I ever did for myself, because when you step into a structure like that, where you are supported, where you are being modulated, where you are in a hypocaloric state, you have to surrender,
Mm-hmm.
but you also get to see the rapid shifts in like, how could I have tolerated feeling so unwell for so long?
Mm-hmm.
And that for me was eye-opening, because within days, I started sleeping like I'd never slept. And I was tired. And I do guide some of my patients. We like our patients to move, and a lot
Mm-hmm.
of them have energy, but some of them are like me and some of them need to sleep. And it's like, respectfully, like if you've been running like a robot, but the operating system is actually of a human, you need to sleep.
Yeah.
Like, I just knew that there was some deep healing here, and then I decided to do the full 6-week protocol because it absolutely changed my life, and it had nothing to do with numbers.
Mm-hmm.
That part was like a beautiful side effect of like, I truly did shed what no longer served me. I had been a certain size my entire life, and then there was a blip, and I was just returning back to the same size of jeans, the same, like, it wasn't pursuing some kind of crazy audacious. It was just like what was my natural propensity.
Yeah.
That's all I was returning to. But what I reclaimed, in terms of the only way I know how to describe it, it was like pulling out of a plug
Mm.
and everything got quiet. The inflammation fell, like just everything got beautifully still. And it was like, whoa, what have I been doing to myself? Why have I been pushing beyond my capacity?
Mm.
And I think there is this tolerance as our society to, especially for women, especially with good girl conditioning, to overgive, to overachieve, to overproduce, and to not take a lot of breathing room to
Mhm.
restore or balance that. And so when I realized that that was what was going on, when I realized that that was going on, it all became very clear to me. And
Mm.
that was the beginning. So this is, for me, it's like, it's not It's not something people should rely on as an everyday tool or as a backup plan. But it was for me the last step of ever treating myself the way I had been treating myself. And I got serious. And I remember talking to my colleague, and part of the decision to go the 6 weeks was I was like such a undercover sugar addict. And I was like, I don't want to crave sugar anymore. It's such an, because it seems to rewire my brain that when I am exposed to refined sugar, then I'm like driven, like, where is it in the house, right? Like, I can't, the chatter of it becomes all consuming. So we made strategies around why. And what I love about what we do is it's building a foundational plate. Like, this is the building blocks of how you're going to nourish yourself going forward. It doesn't mean that you don't exist in the world and you aren't doing things from time to time, but it does mean that you understand the foundation of how you want to fuel this new vessel on a new foundation, building this new building, showing up in a world in a very different capacity. And so that for me was like the actual reset, easy to follow, very effective, got rid of the noise, helped me get very attuned very quickly, like accelerated healing, also accelerated clarity of what wasn't working. I
Mm,
think most of us underreport for sure, but we want to lie to ourselves. And I don't think we want to face the honesty of how imbalanced our lifestyles are, how imbalanced our plate is, or the emotional dysregulated eating that's happening at nighttime, or the fact that many of us treat ourselves like the garburator. So if there's scraps left over, we're just
yeah.
consuming them because heaven forbid you waste food. All these ways where we are not honoring our goals and values. And I think part of what we try and instill in our patients is if you identify your values and one of your values is feeling well and vibrant and healthy, and you're not acting in accordance with that, well, then we have to get radically honest. And I think that was the journey I went on. It was like a radical honesty journey where the foundational piece for me was be integral with your word.
Yeah.
Just follow this truth, just trust the process and one day at a time, right?
Mm,
And I think because we speak to that level with our patients, they're such high standards. This is why we have really good long-term results with the majority of our patients is because that's the standard, right?
mhm,
Like do not proceed on this plan if you're not ready to fully see that through, to fully honor, because otherwise it becomes a pattern of that yo-yo dieting and self-betrayal, and it encourages more self-hatred or more shame. And that's not the tape we're playing. I think
mhm,
we are truly providing, I know I went sideways, a solution for long-term sustainable results where the self-honoring, the self-love, the self-trust is at the root of why our patients are successful. And so, and it came from me being like, I'm not doing that again. I love to lie to myself. I like to pretend I have it all together, but I don't. I'm going to ask for help and I'm
yeah,
going to fully surrender to the process and trust it. And I think all of those pieces are what helped me understand what was not working and how I wanted to realign my life. And so in a 6 week reset, I lost 20 pounds. A lot of our patients will lose more than that. I didn't have a lot to lose. And I think that has something to do with it for sure. And then I lost the last 10 learning nutrition.
mm,
And man, what an eye opening experience.
mhm,
So we guide patients the exact same way I learned. And for the next 6 months, I weighed my food diligently and I learned about macros. And this is the thing I think is so important. And this is why, for a while there, I was super nervous to speak up. And you've been very helpful for me in reclaiming, like, what we do is powerful and what we do, we're
powerful.
really helping people. And we need to speak truth to that. This is not coming from a place of vigilance. We're not tracking because you need to be afraid of putting food. We're tracking because none of us have any idea about portion size or how much protein is in a serving. We are ignorant and we so disconnected from what we're putting in our body. If we're going to remain in that ignorance, we're always going to feel mystified and confused. And
Mm,
I wanted to remain very attuned.
yeah,
And for me to learn attunement, it was to know exactly what was going in my body and go, well, isn't that interesting?
mhm,
here I was eating this way, and then I'd be hungry hours later. I'd crash, I'd be shaking, my anxiety would come up,
Yeah.
to all of a sudden building proper plates and fully understanding balance and nutrition and what worked for my body. And the
Mm,
truth is, what works for my body doesn't work for all my patients, right? So this is truly of like, who cares what the world tells you is the latest trend and why we need to care? It's like, no, the goal is attunement. Okay, we get it. It is super confusing to figure out how you should be eating, and you've probably been hearing a lot more about increasing your protein consumption. We've got you covered. If you are looking to understand how much protein you might want to consider, then please go check out our calculator. It will help show you what this looks like for your ideal body weight, what that looks like per meal and throughout the day, on days that you're strength training and on days where you're just a normal gal about the town. If you are looking to understand protein a bit better and want to bring that conversation to your regulated healthcare professional, then please go check out our calculator online in the show notes so that you can have a more strategic approach to your nourishment and to your protein levels. Your future self and vibrant energy will thank you.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
know how to nourish myself with ease and confidence, and there's
Mhm.
no more struggle. And I can tell you 4.5 years later, that remains to be true for me.
Mhm.
It's like there's just such alignment.
Mhm.
So, we can dive into like what we think the pieces are of why a reset. I know for myself it was the single greatest investment in myself I ever made. And that's why we brought it forward. It was like just like Wild Collective, when I sat in one circle and saw what happened, it was like it feels irresponsible to not tell more people that this is possible for you.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing I feel is like once I went through this experience, was it scary? Yes. Was it hard? Sure. Was I afraid to trust myself again or that it wouldn't work or again I would fail? All those things true.
Mhm.
And when I started to gather some real self-confidence with like, no, I've like this is working, it was like, well, then you need to tell others, right?
Yeah.
And so I think for me is like and then I started thinking critically, and this is where you and I need to dive in, is like, what are the other ways in which someone sheds? Let's like
Mhm.
what's the direct comparison, right? Is slow and steady without a reset, making one or two changes. That might be the right strategy for some people. But we both know it's incredibly difficult when
Yeah.
we're gonna get honest. So before yeah. So what do you wanna say?
Yeah. Well, I just want to say that every time I hear your story, and it's such a beautiful coming home to yourself, right? And
Mm,
I think like that's the piece that always shines through when you talk about that whole journey for yourself. It's like truly learning to trust yourself again. Like it's just like yes, it is the food and the things, but it's so much deeper than that, right? It's the integrity, it's the self-trust. And I think what you said that was so beautifully said too was the piece about the foundation, right? The foundation was shaky at that point. And I think that, even when you were saying that, I was thinking about so many of our patients, and that is what they describe as well. Is like, there was a solid foundation, and there were kids, and then there was career, and then there was aging parents, and then there was kids sports, and then the foundation for themselves started to crack because they were holding foundations for everyone else in their life, right? And so and I think for so many people, burning the foundation that they have for themselves and rebuilding it in a short amount of time with stability and the tools and confidence for long-term success, like you said, is actually a lot more doable than building a new foundation piece by piece. Okay, now we're going to go to sleep 10 minutes earlier, and now we're going to add 10 more grams of protein. Like for a lot of very busy high achievers that we tend to see in our practices, it's hard. The slow approach is often more challenging than let's burn the foundation and build it back in a way that feels really good and sustainable. And so, yeah, I think just the way that you explained all of that, I think was so, so beautiful. And I think resonates with so many people because it is the foundation. Like it really does come back to that. And
Mhm.
yeah, I think, and we were talking about, yeah, go ahead. Like the burn it down is valuable.
There's huge value to it. It's a huge assessment tool. It's radical
Yep.
and quick learning. I think Instagram likes to sell. I pick on Instagram, but put anything wherever it's noisy, and especially around weight, it's very noisy. But I think there are things that influencers and people like to say because theoretically it sounds like the right thing to say,
Hmm.
right? One or two interventions, go slow, sustainability, not another diet, but blah, 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 all the
Yep.
things that we hear, it's constant noise.
Yep.
But it's like, have you factored in actual human behavior,
Yeah.
actual compliance,
Yeah.
actual retention? And when
Mm.
you look at those factors, you then realize that is a very tall order that you are asking of people when they're already in the tolerance of their chaos and disease.
Yes.
So, sure, we all love theoretically that you would make one or two changes and you'd move through it. But we were saying, and the science behind this, like part of this is truly mathematical, whether we like it or not.
Yep.
So, if someone has 12 months and 50 pounds to lose, that person would need to be in a caloric deficit of 500 calories per day for the entirety of the 12 months with zero deviations. That I heard someone share with me over the weekend, like, oh, I track Monday through Friday. I don't really track on the weekends. I'm like,
Yeah.
good luck with your success because we tend to, one, when we're not tracking, eat
Mm.
the thing
Mhm.
because we're not tracking it.
Yeah.
Two, we tend to like unhinge on weekends. It's about relaxing, and we cognitively tell a different story of like, it's Friday.
Yeah.
It was a hard week. It's okay. Whatever toleration. So if you're not tracking, we think it's like invisible calories, and respectfully, it's not, right? So if someone really wants to go at it from this approach, I'm simply picking on calories here from the
Mhm.
mathematical perspective, but your compliance and your adherence would have to be 100% to lose those 50 pounds at the end of the year,
Yep.
which for someone, that might be the right strategy. Kudos to you. When we add in human behavior, social pressure, the imbalances of North American societal living,
Mhm.
the level of stress and pressure, the
Yeah.
fact that most of us have never set healthy boundaries and don't know how to find our voice
Yes.
in social settings, you are up against a massive mountain of challenge. And it's
Massive.
going to take incredible tenacity to
Yeah.
overcome.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that, often with that, and you spoke to it too, is we really do not want to perpetuate any guilt, any shame, any of that. Right. And I think that often when we put someone on a plan like that, okay, for one whole year, you must eat, let's say, at a 500 calorie deficit, good chance you're hungry at times. There's so many elements of doing that for a very extended period of time that are extremely challenging. It's very hard to stay motivated for that amount of time. If you do eat off track, eat off plan, whatever it is, which in the course of a year is absolutely bound to happen because life will life, then it's back to the same cycles of the guilt, the shame, and the yo-yo diet. Like it perpetuates the same cycle. And that's what we always say about Shed. And one patient pretty recently when she came in, she was like, I'm excited for this to be the last thing that I do. And she's crushing it in maintenance, right? And it's like I thought that was such a beautiful way of starting this journey. Was this is the last thing that I'm going to do because I understand how this works and I know how supported and guided and what maintenance looks like on the other side. Because of how structured it is, there's no shame and guilt, right? It's you come in, you do the reset, you get the results, and then we teach you confidently how to maintain. It's confidence on the other side, an
Mhm.
understanding of all of the pieces and understanding that you're going to enjoy life. You're going to have all the things. But like you said, you go back to the plate. You go back to the protein, you go back to the macros, you do what works and you enjoy life as well. And that it's such a peaceful way of accomplishing the same goal, right?
Mhm.
Rather than doing this like super extensive year-long slow loss, right? And there's so much peace in doing it quickly, adhering to the program, the protocol, getting the results, and then maintaining beautifully.
Yeah, and when I hear like it also accelerates the point of when we get to start building muscle and truly stepping into our metabolic mastery, right? So it's like we've kind of break it up for people
Yeah.
to shed and then rebuild.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, you could do those things concurrently. This is just an effective tool for those who are drawn to that strategy of like, okay, well, let's get super honest.
Mm-hmm.
Let's shed the habits, the thoughts, the nutritional patterns, the metabolic inflammation and dis-ease that already exists. Let's get rid of that first and then let's rebuild.
Yeah.
And what I'm proud of is that we provide resources for people well beyond the actual reset phase. We are deeply supportive of the maintenance and make sure that our patients truly outgrow needing us that
Yeah.
frequently. Like they know how to do this. And that to me is a sign of a successful strategy. This is not something that we think people should need to revisit time and time again when they're not getting it, right? Like
Mhm.
it's like we don't want that either. That's not effective. But there is a benefit to coming at your strategy from this angle. And so one of the things that we had written down in terms of like is a reset for you or is our reset for you is if you find yourself frustrated and truly saying like I'm doing all the things just like myself. Like
Mhm.
I really felt like I was doing all the things. And we say this all the time, but I say that and my patients tell me all the time, like all of us are like, wow, the amount of olive oil I was using because
Yeah.
it was a health food
Yeah.
like, what I would put in a serving of a family-sized salad would take me 6 months to consume now, and that's really not an exaggeration. I'm thinking of, like, this giant quinoa salad that I would make we would eat for the week, so I'd consume a good portion of it. There was so much olive oil in that. I just didn't understand macros. I didn't understand fuel. I didn't like, it just didn't make sense to me. And
Mhm.
that was the level of clarity that got to come from trusting each phase of this program. And I think you spoke to point number 2 really well, but I'm gonna let you add anything. But if you're looking for results,
Mhm.
because so many patients we see is like when things actually work, there's a new level of internal motivation and momentum that is so positively associated with continuous change.
Yes.
And I think this is what makes slow, minor changes over time challenging because
Mhm.
they might work in like a short term, but then if there's any deviation or if you're not seeing progress fast as you think it should occur,
Mhm.
then we are really likely to self-sabotage.
Mhm.
And so I think when we actually see a strategy work and we gain results, it feels so motivating and encouraging, and it helps you kind of rewire and start to learn a new level of trust.
Yep.
So it's coinciding with building a new level of self trust, which I think is beautiful
Yeah.
and strategy.
Yeah. And part of that too is because we have done this for so long at this point, we really understand exactly what each week in the program should look like. Like we've gotten so good at being able to troubleshoot every single scenario that may come up in the program. And I think that that's something that's really that really builds confidence for patients in the program too. Is like if they come in and they're like, "Okay, I'm in a stall right now," right? We're like, okay, it is because of this, this, this. Let's talk through the options. Let's figure out which one of these options is the reason for the stall for you. Okay, and here's how we're gonna push you through that. We're gonna support you, right? Like there's no I'm stuck. I'm gonna sit in it. And I'm gonna make myself bad and wrong, and I'm gonna get frustrated, and I'm gonna go off track. It's okay. This is what we're seeing. Okay, well, we know what to do next, right? Like there's no like our patients always they're like I'm trusting the process. I'm trusting the process. And it's because there really is a process. Like we're not guessing at this thing. Like we know what each week should look like. We know what the results should be. So we can expertly troubleshoot all of those pieces together, which I think in the world of weight loss is so important because everyone will hit a stall. There will be times where you are constipated, where you have more water retention, where you, whatever it is, and the number on the scale will not make sense. So that level of support and knowledge when you're on that journey, and I think people don't recognize how important that is until you're in that moment and you want to throw the towel in, right? But it is so important to have that piece as part of it.
Yeah, I want to add to this too. There is this term in the 12-step world called terminally unique. And so part of like the ego problem is that we think we are terminally unique. And so
Mm,
sometimes we come at even our own healing and it's not necessarily conscious, right? No one consciously wants something to fail, but we're so used to something not working for us and everybody else. We have this like propensity to be inclined to this thought of being terminally unique.
mm,
And so I think having this working with practitioners who are so knowledgeable about like a strategy that works consistently for all bodies and all complicated health concerns does provide this level of we need to surrender that there are certain things biochemically, there are certain things physiologically, consciously, psychologically that
mhm,
are all unifying. We're not that different. We're actually a lot more alike than we realize. And so when we are following a strategy like this and we are working through a process like this, I think it helps us surrender because that terminal uniqueness comes from this like victim consciousness of like why you're different. And the invitation is what if you aren't? Like what if we're a lot more alike than we realize and that this also something this transformation, this shift is something you're also worthy of. What if it could work for you? What
mhm,
would that field of awareness and possibility look like? And I think that's a really empowering piece of what you're bringing is like our level of clarity. You're so right. Like we understand week by week, like with great clarity and attunement to people's struggles that we're like, we know where you are. And here's the little
mhm.
shifts that we're going to make and the little tweaks. And we're going to see each other in a week and you're going to report back and they'll come back and they'll be like, it worked. And we're like, we know. We know.
Yeah, yeah.
But good for you because it actually requires you taking the action steps to do the thing. And
Mhm,
I think that's the beautiful part of having a strategy and us sitting in this like we both love this work a great deal. We're studying it. We're constantly texting each other. Did you think about this? Did you think about this? Have you thought about this? Have we created this new like we're obsessed and we very much enjoy this work. And I think when you have something that is results oriented and a strategy that is sustainable for long term, that breaks the mold that allows for a new thing to be possible where you don't have to be identified with that uniqueness anymore. You can actually start to align with what works, what does work for me. If this
mm,
gets to be true, then what is possible? And I think that's a beautiful shift that we get to see.
mhm,
And, I know both of us are critical of this concept of intuitive eating, although a beautiful premise, very difficult to achieve in a slow and steady strategy where there is a lot of inflammation and a lot of pre-existing things that might dull your intuition
mhm,
from from communicating clearly.
mhm,
Like for me, when inflammation was high, my propensity towards certain behaviors and food choices were one way. And when I wasn't inflamed, when I had really truly started to heal and rebuild, my intuitive eating aligned with, I think, how our natural bodies were designed to eat. And that was one thing I was sharing online about patients outgrowing us and not really needing us because they understand how to build a plate and they understand, to build muscle and they're on track and all these beautiful pieces. And someone wrote me and they were like, I don't think you're properly also articulating that when you do this, when you eat this way, and when you actually do this reset, you do not crave foods like you used to. Like there is a change in your palate.
yes. I
And
was
I
just gonna
think
say that.
that's okay. So I think that's the piece that is also really important is that
Yep,
intuitive eating becomes incredibly possible. It
yeah,
becomes something that feels very easy to align to. Like our patients, and we hear this time after time. I thought I was unique here. Turns out I'm not. But we're all wired to eat a certain level of protein and feel good and feel sustained and feel
Mhm.
strong and feel
Mhm.
energized. And when we miss the mark, and this is the cool part about learning, is because of course days you're going to not eat properly, you're going to get off track and you're going to feel the consequence. You're going to go, oh, but I feel so much better doing this.
Mhm.
And then we start to really realize like what it actually means to intuitively eat. And I think that's such a cool, and I want to mirror what that patient shared with me because that's so true. You do not crave the foods that you craved prior. And that is a huge vehicle for
Yeah.
transformation because it's no longer noisy and chattery in your brain to like want the donut. Most of our patients aren't attracted to those foods after that.
Mhm.
Not because we've programmed them to, because they're actually intuitively eating with their physiology, and the body and your muscles want protein
Yes. Yep.
and your digestive system needs fiber to function.
Yep.
And you all of a sudden start like getting it,
Yep.
but getting it from an internal
Yep.
knowing.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. I had it's so funny. A few patients actually yesterday all saying that one patient she had a fruit salad and she was like, "It tasted amazing." And it's the dead of winter, right? Like none of these they're not in season, but it's so funny. Like you're and she's like, "Do your taste buds change?" I'm like, "They do. They really do."
You really do.
Everything changes, like inflammation way down in this program. And so the things that you crave afterwards, the things that your enjoyment of these foods goes way up. Right. And yeah, that's such a win. Every time that a patient says that, like I had raspberries and my taste buds exploded. It's like, that's amazing. Like that nature's candy, right? Like it's
100%. Isn't the goal
beautiful.
that we want patients to naturally eat whole food and
Mhm.
obtain most of their sustenance and nutrition and biochemical capacity from food? Like,
Yes.
wasn't that always our goal?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think another piece of this too, when it comes to intuitive eating, is, I think patients, when they come into the program, they're thinking about maintenance and they're sometimes
Yes.
worried about maintenance, which, like, anytime that you join a program, it doesn't, whatever program you are joining, ask all the questions about maintenance. You should know what maintenance looks like before you ever join any weight loss program. But when patients, so nervous about that, but as they get closer to the maintenance phase, a lot of those nerves fall away because they feel so good that going back to the way that they were is no longer an option. They're like, I actually can't imagine eating the way that I was eating because I'm unwilling to tolerate feeling the way that I felt when I came into this. And that's a really important piece because a lot of these other, okay, we won't name names for other diet plans, but we know all the ones, where they are starvation diets. And so you might feel pretty good while you're on the plan, likely you're starving. And then it's really hard. Like you might feel a little bit better, but you cannot maintain that because your body doesn't feel safe or satiated. And so you're not going to, you can't eat the way that you were eating, right? Like the way that we build patients up and teach them about those pieces and how to nourish themselves, it's so that they can continue to feel as good and mentally clear and energetic and all of the things that they felt long term. It's no longer an option to feel like shit when you feel so good, right? And I think it's so beautiful on the other side when patients say that too.
Hmm. It's so, yeah, it doesn't have to be. When you were saying this week, like, is there some part of us that wants this to be hard?
Yes, it's so I think we see this all the time, right? It's like we were saying, like you could do it for a year really slowly, or you could do it quickly and get the same results safely and maintain. And sometimes patients are, I think there's just, I think especially with women, we have to I think there's this feeling that I have to earn it and it has to be hard for me to feel like I
Right.
earned it,
Yeah.
right? And I think that it's so sad that we feel that way, right? And there are many ways to achieve your goals and you don't always have to pick the hardest path right? Like you can also choose the thing. We don't need to punish ourselves for wherever we're at, right? Maybe you're at where you're at because, like we said, maybe they're over time with kids and career and aging parents and all the things, the foundation has some cracks in it. And you don't need to punish yourself for the fact that there are foundations, that there are cracks in the foundations because lifed, right?
Mhm.
You're allowed to do this in a way that feels more at ease, that feels more aligned. It doesn't need to be so hard. And I think that we both see this is that there is that it needs to be hard because I have to earn it kind of piece. And it makes me
Mhm.
so sad to see that.
It very much exists. And like, I was just thinking about these pieces. Sometimes what sounds easier actually feels less safe because chaos and things being
Mhm.
hard actually is the default of what we've come to expect. So that feels safer than this like other option. And so I know this for me to be true. And I'm doing this EMDR therapy right now. What was really cool is like you start to see like even from childhood experiences all the patterns your brain does this your brain knows everything
Mhm.
of your story, and it started to ping pong to other memories where I showed up in a certain way and I'm like, oh my gosh, I showed up to that such situation because this transpired when I was young. And so we hold these core beliefs. And so, rightfully so, things maybe have been hard in the past. And so it's really hard for us to hear information that sounds so easy, like we're tricking some system or something. And it's a thought that needs to be challenged is like, why does that need to be true? Why does it need to be hard to be worthy?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because I agree with you when you said that. I was like, "Oh, that's such an interesting perspective with women especially, right?" But if we had
Mhm.
to work very hard for whatever position we hold or whatever thing we've created, um, it almost feels too like, yeah, not worthy of an investment if it's too easy or something.
Yeah.
Like, it's a
Yeah. And
really
then,
interesting psychology piece, and it's
yeah,
not
right.
conscious. These are not
Mhm.
conscious thoughts we hold. It's that
Yeah.
these are patterns we're acting out because of some early experience that molded the way we see the world. And
Yeah.
if everything has been hard and you've had to struggle for everything that you have, you're going to want to continue to perpetuate that cycle because that actually makes you feel safer. Like whenever I read that one slide in Wild Collective, Gabor Mate's perspective on stress and chaos, like, so if your cells were bathed in the neurochemistry of stress and chaos, quiet, stillness, peace, calm feels more destabilizing. It feels more unsafe than the chaos. And women look at me with their eyes bulging out of their heads like, you mean I'm now perpetuating chaos because that feels safer than
Mhm.
finding the calm? It's like, yeah, it's
Yeah.
what we do. We
Mhm.
tend to just pattern out unless we challenge things, which leads us to our third point. Like, if you're ready to be deeply supported and see this a different way, then we believe we provided the tools, community, and resources to facilitate that,
Yeah.
to help you because we fully understand, like, even when you get results and things feel good, you're still going back into your world where the chaos was created. And
Mhm.
that's why we have extra support on, like, how do we help you feel safe in this body moving forward?
Yeah.
How do you start to like honor that it can feel easy, that you can feel very confident, that you don't need the world to tell you what you need, that you can
Mhm.
fully trust yourself and find this new level of safety
Mhm.
in your existing world. We're rebuilding the foundation, but we're allowing this new foundation to exist within the world that you've created. And the way we help you do that is start to calibrate to being able to hold all those parts without sacrificing your self-sabotaging in the process, which is what most of us do. Ooh, I'm too different. And to stay a part of the to belong, I'm
Yeah.
going to abandon what I think is important around health or how I feel to feel like I belong.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, I think, something that society, like when we talk about weight loss, that society gets, or it's the missing piece, right? Is that weight loss is not just macros, it's also the beliefs, the mindset,
Mm.
the
Yeah.
boundaries, the people pleasing. Like it's all of that that is actually often you can, so the macros are going to help you lose the weight, and all of that is going to help you keep it off. And so there must be both. Both must exist in a plan that is actually sustainable. And so many of our patients, they come to us, they're like, I've tried this diet, this diet, this diet, and I gain it back, I gain it back, I gain it back. And that's why, right? The macro piece is the macro piece, but the beliefs, the stories, all the things, all the ways that we interact and don't speak up for ourselves and eat off our kids' plate because, like you said, we don't want to throw it out. Like, how many times do we hear that, right? Those are the pieces that need to change for successful maintenance. That is the maintenance strategy, along with all of the other pieces. And I think I know that is why our patients crush it in maintenance, is because both are so deeply embedded in the program. Like, there's mindset baked into every single day of the program. It is truly that important. It truly is. And, when we talk about support, that is part of it, right? Yeah, we see our patients every week, and every day we are in their ears talking about all of these other pieces because it is truly that important.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what's so valuable and unique about our program in particular is like obviously the strategies are being implemented by lots of practitioners, but what
Yep.
makes Shed different is all the other tools that we've added alongside the strategy that equip our patients for long-term success. How
Hmm.
can we challenge the thoughts? How can we challenge the narratives? How can we help you build habits and identify your values and then align your lifestyle choices towards those values so that you can truly find peace in the everyday without
Hmm.
like it being too overwhelming or hard. You're going to have to take action. There's no doubt about it. Those who are the most successful are obedient in the sense of like they hold themselves accountable each day until they really have it figured out. That is an absolute fact, but it doesn't have to be hard or overcomplicated.
Yep.
That's I think the thing that you and I are starting to notice is that this is like very like consistent and predictable. Right,
Hmm.
it's not overly complicated. There are no secrets. We're not withholding anything. If
Yep.
people do these things, they get these results, and it's that consistent. And I think that's the really cool piece is that, again, to speak to that terminal uniqueness part is that we're so much more alike than we are different. And those strategies get to work at scale to a
Hmm.
mass amount of people with different lifestyle choices, different challenges, different circumstances. But if we teach the foundational pieces around safety and building a plate and moving our body and feeding muscle, managing stress, people tend to get consistent results, irrespective of what those stressors are or what your lifestyle actually looks like. We have different things, of course, but we help teach the foundational pieces that are predictable for any circumstance. And I love that. And I was saying last week to my coach about like my perception of health. And I think we both hold this, but like, the perspective is that we are minimalists in health. Like it's
Hmm.
not complicated. It's not hard. It's not needing all these biohacks. It's like so basic and
Yeah.
predictable. And I love that for my patients is like, yep, it gets to be this easy. Like if you understand nutrition and you understand these pieces,
Yeah.
you get to
Yeah.
keep your results and, like, go through your life and
Totally.
crush it,
Yeah.
and,
And
like, we're
that's
not
so
gatekeeping.
Yeah. And I think that that's so important for our patients to understand on the other side is you've got the results, right? You're feeling good in your body. You feel confident, you feel vibrant, you have energy, you're sleeping, like all the things. And your success moving forward gets to be easy. Right? You don't require cold plunging for 20 minutes a day and then biohacking your breakfast and all like it doesn't need to be who has time for that? It doesn't need to be that hard, right? And I think all of these wellness influencer people, it's almost creating this like wellness, this tier of optimal health and
Yeah,
wellness.
inaccessibility or
It's so
something.
inaccessible that no one can access. And the truth is, it doesn't need to be that hard. Once we get your inflammation down, once we get your weight to a place that feels good on your body, and for so many patients too, that is the thing actually preventing them or making it really hard to exercise, to move their body, is carrying this extra weight that hurts their joints when they try to move, or, right? Like, it's incredible how at the end of this, when we move patients to maintenance, they're like, all right, teach me how to move. Like, they are so ready. They are so ready for it. And that's the secret. The secret is exercise and eating well. That's it. That's
Yeah.
it. And we will get you there. We'll get you there. It doesn't need to be inaccessible. It doesn't need to be hard. It gets to be easy on the other side. And I think that that's the biggest gift on the other side of this program.
This episode is brought to you by our Shed Metabolic Reset program. Look, I know there's a lot of programs out there and it can be very overwhelming, especially when it comes to weight loss and long-term fat loss and finding the right program for you. We have an incredible metabolic reset program, one that does thorough investigative work up front, looking at blood work metrics, helping educate you, a really solid, simple plan to follow in the reset phase, as well as long-term education around how to maintain your weight loss for the long term, how to optimize your health, how to increase metabolic flexibility, and how to build your plate so that you are nourished and the strongest version of yourself. Our program includes a lot of care and support with our integrative healthcare team. It is a medically supported program. We include community support, education support, as well as daily mindset calls. We are all about optimizing your health for the long term. This is the exact program that helped me shed 30 pounds and keep it off for 4 years and counting. So if you feel like a reset is something you would like to consider, a pause to help calibrate, come home to yourself, lower inflammation, boost your energy, learn how to confidently build your plate for longevity, then please head over to poppyclinic.com and you will see that there is a pop-up quiz that will get the process started of seeing if Shed Metabolic Reset program could be for you. If it is, we will connect, and I cannot wait to support you in living the most aligned, harmonious life, one that reclaims peace and confidence in your body and teaches you how to eat for long-term health. I'll see you soon. Yeah, and not that I want to expound on something, but I think you said something really important that I just want to highlight to make sure that it's heard, is this whole idea of why a reset. And if we go slow, what's the difference? Like what you just said that I just want to highlight is when we feel better, when we finally have the energy, when we know how to fuel the machine, doing exercise, being consistent is no longer hard or a chore. And that's where a reset can be so powerful as well, as like just so much gets to be possible when you feel better. And it is so hard to feel better when you're in the current circumstance, making, modest changes over time. Yes, that can work. We're not talking down. We're just saying this is a opportunity for those who are exploring a different way, how powerful a reset can be. So in summary, I just want to highlight all the things. So if you are hearing and you are curious and you want to know if a reset is for you, or if our reset in particular is for you, there's a couple of things. If you're feeling frustrated and doing all of the things, it's possible a reset might be for you. If you are looking for results and a solid strategy, then this reset might be for you. Are into being deeply supported and not doing this alone. Like Dr. Tara was saying before we hit record, is like, you're not just like learning to eat or lose weight, you're building a new identity. And if you feel like that new identity needs to be supported, then this reset might be for you. And if you're done with the yo-yo struggle bus, like if you're tired of, like, what was your patient said, like, this is the first January was where I wasn't like, let's do this all over again. Like finally you're breaking free of the thing, like the struggle that gets perpetuated by everyone. Like it doesn't have to be that way. Right.
Yeah. 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 And I think that that's really just why we wanted to podcast about this topic and talk about Shed is, and this even goes back to what you were talking about online last week about it's informed, like knowing your choices, knowing all of the options that are available to you, right? We're not saying that you can't go into a deficit for a year, whatever, 6 months, whatever it is, and do all the things. That's totally an option. We support patients who feel like that is the right option for them. And there's other options. And I think that that's really what we wanted to highlight is that you get to pick. This is the right approach for the patients that we get the chance to work with. It's not the right approach for other patients, and that's okay. About this before, but we are very discerning. We do not let everyone join this program because it truly is not the right approach for every person. And we just want you to know that there are options. I think we both feel so sad when we just see people stuck, right? And feeling like there's nothing out there for them, that nothing's going to work, right? The patients that are like, I've tried everything, like the terminal uniqueness, right? And it's like, there are options for you. Wherever you are at, however stuck you feel, whatever you've tried, there are options. It is not, there's always the opportunity to feel better. You just might not know what those opportunities are just yet. So hopefully us sharing more about this and giving some insights into this very unique way that we support patients through this reset, hopefully it inspires you to just feel a little bit more hopeful that there are options out there that may be right for you or someone that you love.
I love that. Yeah, beautifully said. We deserve to know options, and then we can trust, and we trust our patients, and we guide. I think part of the reason that we have such solid results is that we are so discerning up front to know who the program is good for and who it wouldn't be good for, and that it's not for everybody. That's the truth, but everybody deserves to know what tools and resources are out there and available so that they can make an informed decision of what feels best for them. And so value and appreciate that. So if any part of this feels like resonance for you or you're more curious, there are links in our show notes where you can fill out a quiz. If you live in Ontario, we'd love to support you. And then we can send you more information on how our program works and make sure that you're fully equipped with all the information before ever booking an appointment. It is also available for you to book an alignment call and talk with a practitioner about whether or not the program is for you. So there's many ways in which we can reach and support and create abundant clarity before you go on the journey of a reset. But yeah, we just want to make sure that everybody knows what's available to them so that they can feel encouraged, that they can find a way that is in alignment with how they would like to navigate their health journey and new identity creation. So thank you so much for giving me the space to share my story.
Yeah, thank you.
We do this work because my life was forever changed, and feeling human again, feeling like myself, feeling better than I'd ever felt. Like I keep aging, as we all do, obviously, but I'm about to be 45 and I've never been as strong, well-muscled, well-nourished, mentally clear. No more anxiety. I don't need antihistamines, maybe minorly throughout seasons, but like I feel better than I've ever felt. It feels somewhat like I'm aging backwards physiologically because of how good I feel. And that gets to be possible. Like it doesn't have to be hard. And we don't have to accept the narrative that we're just aging and these are all parts of aging. You just need to accept it. No, you don't. So we're here if you need us. And thanks for giving us the opportunity to share more about what we do and why we love this work so much. So until next week, stay wild.
Stay wild.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Wild Medicine. I am so grateful to have you here, and I hope you're feeling inspired and empowered. If you enjoyed today's episode, please don't forget to subscribe and leave a 5-star rating. It helps us reach more incredible women just like you. And before you go, quick reminder, the information shared on this podcast is for educational purposes only and is not intended to diagnose or treat any medical condition. Please consult with your healthcare provider for personalized advice and care. And if you're ready to take inspired action and dive deeper into your own health journey, please visit us at poppyclinic.com. Let's rewild and reset your health together.